Jackie Mac, Francisca Epele.
Yes. Hello, I'm just driving.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Appreciate you signing in.
Yeah.
No, I think next week's session is gonna be about commitment. I think we need next week's session to be about commitment because that's something that I think is big time right now. Just a level of commitment, because people say they're committed, but commitment's not something that's part-time, right? Commitment's something that's full-time. Commitment has to be something where it's like where you're gonna do all that it takes. Gonna do all that it takes, right? And I feel with this, there's a lack of commitment. I understand it's a challenge. It's definitely a challenging program. That's for sure. That's for sure. But are you willing to do what it takes? Right? Most people say they are, but I guess once they go through the process of it, then they realize that it's not as easy as they hoped it would be. Right? But if it's easy, that means if things were easy, everyone would be doing everything, right? A lot of people don't do things because a lot of people don't want to be challenged, right? They don't want to be challenged. Um, One of our wealth creators, his subscription came up for renewal, right? And I noticed he hasn't been plugged in. So I put a hold on the subscription and I messaged him and I said, hey, I noticed your thing's coming up for renewal, but I noticed you haven't been plugged in. Are you continuing with the program? It's like, Rich, man, this program, honestly, I seen the difference. I see what it does, but it's difficult for me to commit, to keep up. I said, I understand. I understand. Thanks for, at least giving it a goal for year one, right? Sorry. Because yeah, you got to commit. You got to commit, right? And when you commit to something, that's really when you get the results, right? Jackie, you're in real estate full time. If you were to take it as a just a little side thing, because there are people who have their license, but they're not committed to the profession, right? And they say in real estate, there's about 50,000 agents, I think, that are registered, and every year I think there's about, like, I can't remember the number, like 20,000 that cancel their license. I don't remember the exact numbers, but all I know is that the same amount of people that sign up for a real estate license every year is the same amount of people that leave the industry every year, right? And the main reason is because they don't want to commit, right? Because you could be in, and it doesn't matter what profession you're in, but you could be in a profession, and you say you want to do it, right? But as you're in it, maybe, a deal went wrong, or, a client, like rubbed you the wrong way, or someone took your client, or whatever the case may be, and it didn't work out, right? And over time, you get discouraged and you just leave. You say, you know what, maybe this profession is not for me, and you'll leave, right? But that just shows that you weren't committed, right? Because if you are committed, all of those things are there to build you up so that you can be that elite agent that you want to be, right? So commitment's a huge thing, right? Even in relationships, people give up on relationships really easily, right? I'm grateful and thank God. I've been married 9 years now. Yeah, of course, me and my wife have our 1-2 back and forths, but we're committed. You know what I'm saying? And I love her, obviously, overall, but that comes with commitment. It comes with a commitment, and vice versa. right? So if there is a little back and forth, we know we'll be talking to each other the same day. We pray with each other every night anyway, so we know we're gonna see each other and pray with each other, even though if we give silent treatment for the day. By the end of the day, we're good, and the next day we're talking, right? But that's commitment, right? Many people will be quick to walk off on a relationship because of whatever little dispute you had, right? So commitment is a huge thing, and I definitely want to go deeper into that on probably in the next session, and just let everyone have more insight on what commitment is, because say even with the GPS session, everyone has access to it, but not everyone's committed. There's some people right now, they're free, they could be on the session right now, right? But they're not committed fully to the program, which is cool. However you want to be committed is up to you, right? But the more that you actually engage, with the network, then the more we could see this flourish. And I'm seeing less and less commitment, and it's like, like I could reach out only so many times. Do you get what I'm saying? And right now, I'm actually going through a process. I have a mentor in terms of coaching programs and building coaching programs. So I'm going in, and that's one of the things that I'll share it with. It's like, you'll have people that come through the program, but not everyone may be for your program, right? As you filter through, you're going to get to realize those who are really committed. And this is with everything. There's people who are really committed and people who are not committed. So if you can really filter and find people who are really committed, such as you two who are on here right now, Francisca, Jackie, I would say Kathy for sure, Derek, there's people that are committed. You can see who's committed, right? But then there's some people who are partially committed, right? Everyone, when I speak to them, they tell me to get results from the program, which is great. But imagine if you were committed to the program, the amount of results that you'll get if you're committed. Jackie, thank you as well. Jackie even shared that, with us in the WhatsApp group, right? That she said, hey, I noticed I haven't been committed to the program, and I've noticed it in my results. So now I'm going to be more committed, right? Commitment goes a long way, right? And, the more I see commitment within our wealth creators, the more I'm going to commit to our wealth creators, right? Because I got other things to do as well, right? But I really care. I really care about people, and my cousin, he told me this from years ago, when I was coming out of high school. And he's like, yo, you care too much for people. He's like, imagine if everything you did for people you charged for. He's like, you'd be a millionaire right now. You know what I mean? But my thing is not just about money, honestly. I really get I guess you could call my sense of wealth from seeing others succeed. That's just how it's been for me, like growing up. Jackie, we've known each other for a while. So the showcases, I like seeing the talent, getting to perform and winning and all that kind of stuff. That made me feel good. Seeing you up on stage, hosting, that made me feel good. Seeing you get into the videography and filming and doing all those videos and all that stuff, I'm scoping you up. I'm like, wow, look at Jackie. You get what I'm saying? Like when I see Tristan Thompson, who played in our basketball tournament in the NBA, I'm like, wow. Thank God we're able to set up a platform for him to showcase his skills. You get what I'm saying? Like, these are the things that really interest me, to be honest. Like, so like even if people are just in the program and just using the program and getting the results, and in our WhatsApp group sharing their wealthy moments, that's what really drives me, right? And we were at that stage. Right? Where everyone we're getting a wealthy moment every day. Francisca, thank you for sharing your wealthy moment. You know, that's amazing. I appreciate that. Right. And you know, sharing the wealthy moments, that's what I wanted from this. Like, that's what I want to see. I just want to see people showing the results that they're getting from this program, right? Because I hear it, I can get a call. That's cool. You know, when I get the call, it's amazing. And I thank you. But then I say, hey, please share it in a group. But I think everyone is so caught up with their ego that they feel if they share it with their group, they're bragging. No, you're not bragging. You're actually transferring energy. You're transferring energy. Every single person that's been enrolled in this program has called me and shared with me wealthy moments. And after I ask, hey, can you share it with the network? And then they don't share it with the network. You know, it's like, and obviously I'm not going to beg you to share it with the network, but I'm just saying, like, let the people see the results you're getting from the program. Right. And if that's something that we're continuously doing, more people will fall into that culture and everyone will be doing it and everyone will be consistent and more people will be committed because they see, oh, wow, those results are going to happen for me. But I have to take the full onus on that, you know, because, you know, I'm the founder of this program. So I cannot blame anyone. I have to bring it back to myself. Right? I have to bring it back to myself and really go through the details of it, you know, and really try to understand it, right? And this goes to our higher faculties of our mind, right? And that's why I want to go deeper into that, because developing these higher faculties is something that is a continual thing that we have to do, right? Because these faculties, you know, are with us all the time. We just have to recognize that they are with us, right? Thank you. We have someone else committed to the program. Christina has joined us. She's joining us right now. Commitment. Yeah, we're definitely going over that next week, because that's all we need. We just need everyone to be committed. Everyone's committed. Everyone just buys into the program. Everyone shares their wealthy moments. Everyone sees us as a network.
I don't see Christina on.
Yeah, she's joining. It says joining. I think she's trying to connect. Maybe her.
She's texting me saying it's not working.
No, it's saying joining. It's saying joining. Okay, she's trying again. Oh, we have Sadat Saeed. Nice. Is Christina on? I think Christina's in now. We have
I think she's on now. Cool.
All right, Christina, thank you for your commitment, Christina. Appreciate it. Sadat Saeed, thank you for joining us. Okay, yeah, we see Christina there too. Yes, that's amazing. Sadat, thank you for joining us as well. Right, so we want to go into developing our higher faculties, right? Because these higher faculties of our mind, we were actually born with them. Right. But a lot of us are not aware of that we were born with them. So we don't really train them. We don't develop them. Right. And if as we're aware of them, and that's what the main thing is, awareness, right? We all must be aware that although we are living in one world, we are actually living in two worlds. All right. The law of polarity is a universal law stating that everything that exists has an equal and exact opposite. All right. So we have an outside world and an inside world. Right. The outside world, as we see over here, is very chaotic. It's very chaotic. And so many people are living here in this outside world. Right. And they're letting the outside conditions, circumstances, and everything that's outside control them. It controls their conversations. It controls their thoughts. It controls their decision making. It controls everything. The outside. Right. But we also have an inside world. Right. And when we're in the inside world and we're here very often, more often and frequent, we should be here every day. We should be in the inside world every day. Right? Because when we're in the inside world every day, then we realize that we're actually in control of our outside world. But when we don't go to the inside world, then we have no clue that we're in control of the outside world. So we let the outside world control us. Go have a conversation with someone. They're going to tell you what yesterday's news was or today's news is, right? If they're telling you, if their conversation is on today's news or yesterday's news, then they're being controlled by the outside world, right? Because they're letting some other outside external source tell them how they should be feeling, what their day should be like, what they should look out for. It's in control. I remember about 15 years ago, I was door knocking, right? And it was for an event, something that we're doing, right? And we're engaging the youth. We're getting the youth involved, right? And I was talking to a gentleman, and at that time, yeah, there was a lot of violence and stuff going on outside, according to the news, right? So when I went to this guy's house, the guy was talking to me through a crack in the door, and then he said, no, my kids, they don't go outside, they stay home. Outside's too dangerous, right? Right? They're saying, oh, outside's too dangerous. My kids don't go outside. You see all the stuff that's happening? You see how all the shootings, everything that's happening? My kids, they won't go outside. They're staying inside. Like, so how are they going to experience the world if they don't go outside? So no. It's too dangerous out there. So he's actually keeping his kids away from, experiencing life. Like they will be growing up just inside of their home, right? Because outside is too dangerous, right? But that's not a choice that he made. He's not going inside. He's just getting his information from the news, right? So it's very important that we understand that there's an outside world and an inside world, and we go to the inside world daily. All right. Thankfully for everyone in the Mind Assistance program, you have the map book. So the map book forces you to go inside daily. If not, if you don't have the map book, meditation, prayer. How frequently are you doing those? Should be doing them every day. Being in control of your world, because it's important for us to have a clear mind, right? Because the outside world, the outside mind is the conscious, and then the inside mind is the subconscious, right? And the conscious mind communicates through our five senses. But our inside world, the subconscious mind, communicates through our higher faculties, right? So our five senses, everyone is aware of. We hear, see, smell, taste, and touch, right? So as we hear, see, smell, taste, and touch things in this outside world, right? That's where we get a sense of what things are, right? So if you see some graphic images that are disturbing, then that is your perception of what that is. If you see something that's good, that's your perception of what that is, right? So in your personal life, let's say your partner or your life mate or your spouse or whatever the case may be, you're looking through your eyes and you're in a conscious state, right? And let's say they're just disturbing you, and like everything they do is annoying, and it's just like you're looking at them and like, holy, like this person's annoying, like, right? You don't realize that if you actually go to your subconscious mind, and in your subconscious mind, you're portraying this partner or your ideal partner and the key qualities that they have and that you like about them, and how you are to them, and how your relationship is, and and how all the things that you want it to be. If you start there, then when you get in this outside world, you're going to notice that they're going to be shaping to how internally you picture them to be. from your subconscious, right? From going from inside to outside. You're going to notice them actually, it's like, holy, what happened? It's a whole new person, right? But if you're judging them from the outside world, and then you're letting that go inside, then the feelings that you have will be an imbalance. But if you go on the inside and you're talking and you're thinking about all the good things they do, and then you're on your inside, it feels good, and then you're going to realize on the outside it's going to match that, right? So we see the image on the left over here, and we see the internal, we're showing the heart, because the heart allows us to feel, right? So as we feel in the subconscious, you know, that's the key point, how we feel. Because when you're going into conscious, then you're going to be feeling good first, and then you go into conscious, and things that you see, you'll be feeling good because that's where you're starting from. You're not starting from the external and then letting that control your feelings. You're starting from the feelings first, and then you're going externally, and through your senses, you'll realize the feeling that you have, right? Because in the physical, 95% of the world population is focused here on these five senses, right? And when you're focused on the physical, and you're focused just from these five senses, right? Then you're in a reactive state. What I mean by reactive state means that you're getting these senses, and then you're reacting from these senses. You're making a reaction from these senses, right? But then 5% of the world is focused on the inside, the spiritual realm, right? And when you start there, then you're proactive, right? You're proactive in the approach, meaning that you actually have set the stage already for what your senses are going to react to. So you will not be reactive. You're being proactive because you're actually in a controlled state. Is this making sense? I want to just stop real quick before I continue. It's making sense to everybody? I see some, I hear a yes, or see some thumbs up, or I just want to make sure before I move forward. Yes, Richie. Thank you, Christina. Okay, perfect. So our five senses, where we, yes, here we go, right here. Our five senses help us communicate with our outside world, for us to get sense of the things we encounter. We react with the use of one or a combination of our five senses. Our physical world grabs our attention, right? So we hear, see, smell, taste, and touch. These senses are known to us since birth, and therefore most people are satisfied to navigate life with these alone, right? So this world is grabbing your attention. You're getting pulled over here, over there, everywhere, because you're reacting. You're in a reactive state when you hear, see, smell, taste, and touch, right? That's right. But to be proactive, we're 5% of the people reacted. Being proactive, you started from before. Back in the day, I don't know if you remember this. These people, they used to have their ads all over the place. Proactive. It was an acne cleansing formula, right? And it's called proactive. Why? Because to them, what they're saying is they actually prevent you from getting breakouts, right? There's other acne creams or whatever, ointments and stuff like that, that once you have a breakout, you put it on top and it'll make it disappear, right? But proactive, they say, no, we actually, when you use our thing, then what it does is it actually prevents you from breaking out, because it works before the breakout. Hilda said I bought that. I did too, Hilda. I bought it too. It didn't work for me. But but that's what they were about. They said their thing was that you gotta be proactive. We're gonna clear it at me from before it actually starts. That's being proactive, right? So unlike the five senses, not many of us are aware that we all possess these 6 higher faculties as they require us to develop them, right? These 6 faculties are imagination, will, perception, reason, memory, and intuition. So we know what these are. Yeah, they got you too, right? Some good advertising, right? So we have been given these mental faculties for them to be developed and for us to use as we're creating our environment. So we're creating our environment, but we got to be using these faculties. So as we're in class, when we were younger, we were told that our imagination is no good. We're daydreaming. Like, oh, he's not paying attention. He's daydreaming, right? Or she's daydreaming, right? But that's just our imagination that was stimulating, which wanted us to develop it. But we were shutting away from it, from using this imagination, you know? But imagination was given to us, and it's meant to be developed. And as we develop our imagination, then we start to realize that our imagination is one of the most key components of our higher faculties. Your subconscious mind can't tell the difference between what is real and what is imagined. So if you're in a place where you're daydreaming and you're just there and you're playing an image or the imagery of something that you want in your life, and you're just there all the time and you're just imagining it all the time, then what's happening is it's going in our subconscious mind, right? It's going in our subconscious mind. Our subconscious mind brings to us everything that is aligned with it, right? So why is it that every other species is completely at home in their environment? You look outside, you see the squirrels going when it's hibernation time. They know where they manage to find their nuts and their foods and stuff, and they bring them in their little hole that they put them in, like their little hibernation place. I was doing a meditation one time, and I was by a water stream, and I seen some geese, and there was a mother and its children, and it was a stream, it was a river, so the river kept moving. It was a stream, right? But they knew that, you know, like to go to the shore, to the side for a bit, and they went to the side, and they were playing there for a bit, and I was just watching them. I was like, wow, look at them. They're like so in their environment. You know, they went, and after they're doing their thing, and then after they just went back on the stream and they continued down, right? We see, you know, the birds know where to go. They get their nest and they build their nest, right? Like everything is completely at home in their environment, except for human beings. How come we are so disorientated with our environment? If you don't want me asking, I want to open that up. Why are we not like all these other species so in their environment? Francisca, why do you think?
I think we're so disoriented because we have so many things coming at us from all angles. And some of us have so many interests. We're doing many hats. Like when they said, introduce yourself, many people nowadays don't only have one thing. They have to have multiple streams of income. That can also cause a disorientation. If you're not focused, you won't remember, what am I supposed to do next? If you don't have a schedule, you might get all crazy.
Yeah, so many things going on. Eh?
Yeah.
That's true. Thank you for sharing. Christina, why do you think we're so disorientated in our environment? I think Christina said her mic's not working, but type it in when you have a chance. Type it in. Saeed, why are we so disorientated in our environment?
Yeah, I think it's the amount of activity that's going on in our life. Got kids, their issues. Got our life. We got our career. We have dreams of businesses. How do you bring it all together? I think that's what the issue is.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing. Christina said, I think we care too much about what people think and we're overthinking all the time. Thank you, Christina. Jackie, why do you think we're so disorientated in our environment?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm not sure if you can hear me. My signal's cutting out, but I think we're disoriented. I don't think I think this instant gratification throws us off, and always wanting more by looking at other people.
Mm.
Can you? I don't know if you guys can hear me.
Yeah. You're chopping, but we heard you. You said so many people are focused on everyone else, right? And you said another thing. Overthinking all the time. That's what and we care too much what people think. Yes, heard you, Jackie. That's what Christina said. But yeah, thank you everyone for sharing. And it's true. Collins, why do you think we're so disorientated in our environment?
I think because there's so much distractions with social media. I forgot what the statistic is, but our minds take in millions of information at a time, and there's only so much you can actually retain. So I think we're not focused enough, and we're not intentional, and we kind of just fall victim to all the other distractions that are around us.
Yeah, thank you so much. And you see what everyone was saying is it just goes right back to the beginning of this whole presentation. We're so caught up in this outside world. We're so caught up in this outside world, right? It's a fact, right? And as we're caught up in the outside world, it's so hard for us to know who we really are. We should be like every other, like all these other species, just knowing what to do, just being guided what to do, right? But because we're, like you said, we're in social media, we're watching the news, and we're doing all this. Our friends telling us this, and our parents are telling us this, and we're going here, and this thing's happening. Our schedule is so full. We have all these meetings. We have all this stuff. That we're losing sense of who we are, right? But when we were babies, we knew, right? This image is a perfect example. When the baby is born, when you bring the baby to the breast, the baby knows that it's supposed to latch on. It just knows. How does the baby know? It just came out of the womb. And right away, the baby knows that it's supposed to latch on to the breast. Right? So that means we did know we were like all these other species. Right? We know this because at birth, it's shown. It's the very first thing that proves it at birth. The very first thing. I have a newborn. She's 3 months. As soon as she came out, they said, all right, Mom, first you guys do some skin to skin, and then you're going to let her breastfeed. You're gonna breastfeed. And then as soon as my wife, and there's women here, so and men here, where everyone knows what happens when a baby goes to the breast. It just opens its mouth and it latches onto the nipple. Like, it knows that it's supposed to. How come it doesn't do that anywhere else? How come it doesn't go and try to latch on the arm or latch on the fingers? Or it knows where to go. Right? So we do know this, but all of this stuff has been programmed out of our minds, right? Another thing that we realize with babies, and I'm seeing it right now too, and it's a beautiful thing, right? Is that babies, when they're born, they go inside most of the time. They're sleeping. They're going in their unconscious state as often as possible. Throughout the day, the baby's sleeping throughout the majority of the day, right? They're downloading data. They're in their subconscious mind. You know, they're getting their assignment in a sense. You know, they're getting their assignment, right? And then they come out in the physical. You know, they're there. Okay, they want some food. Whatever, get their food. They're there looking around 1, 2, and then they go back to sleep. They're back in unconscious state, right? So we were this. We were in our natural ground. We have been given the mental faculties of given our own environment, right? Imagination, reason, perception, will, memory, intuition. We have these things, right? And we have to be developed for us as we are creating our environment, all right? So we think and we feel, and what we think, it moves to a feeling, as we see in the heart, in our subconscious, which is our subconscious, and that sends a vibration where our body is drawn towards the things that are our results, right? So your results right now are a result of your past thinking, right? So remember, when you're in the subconscious mind, you're proactive. So it's happened already. You set the stage. So right now, what you're seeing right now in this physical is a result of your past thinking, right? So understanding that, we just want to ensure that, okay, as we think, you know, we have these higher faculties that we can implement so that as we're in our subconscious state, the vibration and the results that we're getting are in alignment with who we are, right? And that's the gatekeeper. That's where we accept or reject what we allow in our subconscious mind, right? So we have the choice. Even if you see something, or if you hear something and someone's telling you, oh, this is, oh, don't sign up, don't be a realtor, you know, because real estate, it's hard. It's hard. You're not going to get no clients. You're like, it's the most difficult thing ever. Someone could tell you that, and you can be like, you know what, you're right. Let me go do something else. Or you could have your gatekeeper there and say, hold on, I reject that, what you're saying. Maybe it's hard for you, but it's not hard for me. You know, I'm going to go and I'm going to experience this. I'm going to go through and get the results that I'm looking for, right? So that's why we use the higher faculties of our mind, right? And I just organized it so it could be an acronym so that we can remember it, right? Mirror WIP, right? MIRWIP. Memory, imagination, reason, will, intuition, perception. All right? Memory is a faculty of the brain by which data or information is encoded, stored, or retrieved when needed. It is the retention of information over time for the purpose of influencing future action. Some people say they have a bad memory. This is not true. We can memorize anything we want. Jim Rohn says, we may have a weak memory, which requires us to strengthen our mental muscle, similarly to the way we build up our body muscles by using and validating one of the faculties, such as this. So your memory, if you feel you have a poor memory, it's just because you haven't been training it. Just like Jim Rohn says, if your muscles are weak, that doesn't mean that you just have weak muscles. No, you just got to go to the gym and work out, and your muscles will get stronger. So the same thing with our memory. We got to just use it more, right? Use it more. Practice your memory. What did you do yesterday? What did you do a week ago? What did you do a month ago? What was something that you remember that was impactful for you? Bring yourself back to a memorable moment where you achieve a level of success where it brings back the feeling of success so that you can remember how success feels, right? Remember the gatekeeper. So if you're going and you're bringing yourself to that place, right, then you could go and be like, oh yeah, I remember that time. Oh, I remember that time. And then you'll remember the feeling of success. And you could bring yourself there. And then as you're on that state, you'll get that feeling again because you remember it. So look behind me, I have these awards. I got a few of them back here, yeah. But I like having these up because it allows me to build my memory faculty. I can recall, oh yeah, I remember when I won that award. Yeah, I remember this. I remember that. My diploma's up there. Oh yeah, I remember when I graduated. Right? I remember, you know, like there's a time when I remember I was in grade 8. My younger brother was in grade 6. And then they had the awards ceremony for like sports, right? I was an athlete, you know, as an athlete, right? And then every sport, you know, they just call us up for like every sport. Like pretty much we won all the medals. It's like a clean sweep. But it was a memorable moment, and I'm definitely proud of that moment because it was something where they're like, oh, the winner of the basketball award. I don't even need to say the name. I remember the guy who was giving the awards. I don't even need to say the name. Just come on up here, Richard. Come on up here. You know, but it felt good. That feeling, I go back to that feeling all the time. Right? So even now, if I'm feeling like right now, I'm not feeling the kind of success that I want to feel or that achievement that I want to feel, I'll bring myself back to that. Right? Let's say you went on a vacation and you had such a great vacation and you just remember that vacation. You remember how you felt. Bring yourself back there using your memory. Right? And then you'll realize that you'll be back in that situation again. The memory is such a powerful faculty of our mind that we have to go and strengthen it. Just like Jim Rohn says, build it up like we build our muscles. But all of these faculties, we have to build up this way. Imagination, the act or power of forming a mental image of something not present to the senses or never before wholly perceived in reality. Right? So it's never happened yet. Right? But the ability to imagine things pervades our entire existence. It influences everything we do, think about, and create. It leads to elaborate theories, dreams, and inventions in any profession. Albert Einstein said, imagination is everything. It is the preview of life's coming attractions. Every single thing that we see through our senses, through our eyes, has been a form of imagination. Zoom, before it started, it was imagined. Internet was imagined. This microphone I'm talking on was imagined. Your phone was imagined. Every single thing was imagined. Putting together the map book was imagined. Having people in the Create Wealth Network was imagined. Right? Christina, she does event planning and she builds these amazing balloon structures and stuff like that. Christina, it starts with your imagination, right? She's writing through text. She said, absolutely. Right? So you think about the things that you've done. Everything has started with your imagination. Everything happens twice. First in imagination, and then it happens in real life. That's just how things are. So with our imagination, right, we really have to take it serious. When we were young, they told us, don't imagine, stop daydreaming, stop that stuff. You're not concentrating. But you really are concentrating because you're in your imagination. You must use our imagination to build an image of what you want, because our subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between what is real and what is imagined. I just want to pause right now so we can open up the network and let's expand on this. Thank you, Jackie. Right? So our imagination, this quote right here, our subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between what's real and what's imagined. What does that mean? Hilda, what does that mean?
I just think of visualization when you talk about that. You have to envision it in your mind for it to come true. They always say if you can visualize it, then you can make it happen. So that's pretty much what your imagination can build for you. Yeah, that's that.
Thank you. Right? That's the truth. Right? You can't tell the difference. So if you're imagining something, that means that it's real. It has to be real because everything starts from there. Right? But sometimes people imagine something, like, no. Why am I imagining that? Like, come on, I can't do that. That's not possible. Right? They'll self-sabotage themselves. But if you've imagined it, that means it's real. Because that's where everything starts. Everything starts from the imagination. Right? The imagination is probably one of the greatest miracles of the human being. It is imagination has allowed many of the things to be created. All the great inventions that have been transformed our lives came from this wonderful ability that we hold. Knowing these higher faculties and how they work, we can develop and use them to achieve anything we want in our lives. Our Creator has given us the tools. We need to develop them on a higher level. Imagination or visualization may be simply defined as the formation of mental images or pictures. Whenever a person forms a thought or an idea in their mind, he or she is forming an image which corresponds or matches the thought or idea. For example, if a person thinks of a boat, they don't particularly think of the word boat. They almost have to form an image of a boat they have encountered at some previous moment in time, a boat seen only in a picture or book, right? So if I say boat right now, all of us can see a boat. We're not thinking the word boat. Maybe the boats that we're thinking of are different. Maybe they look different, maybe different colors, maybe different sizes, right? Different shapes. But we're all imagining a boat, right? An image of a boat, right? So that's how powerful our imagination is, right? And then we have reason, right? Reason is the capacity of consciously making sense of things, establishing and verifying facts, applying logic, and adapting or justifying practices, institutions, and beliefs based on new or existing information. So with reason, we accept or reject. Reason is when you have something or something's presented to you and you have to process it, right? And you're reasoning, and maybe sometimes you may even bounce it off others, right? And then just get their feedback, and that helps with your reasoning faculty, right? So these are things that we got to practice, right? So as you may have an idea, or you may be thinking something's pondering on your mind or whatever, and then you're reasoning, and the reasoning that you're doing is all based on all the past experiences you had, it's like pretty much everything from your past, your present, everything you're kind of like putting it together to kind of filter it out in a sense. It's going kind of like a filtration process, right? And then as it goes through the filtration process, then you understand whether, okay, yeah, that's something that I want to do, or no, that's something I'm not going to do, right? So the reasoning faculty is something that's huge, right? And it's something that we have to develop and build. So as things come our way, we got to reason. We got to reason. And like I said, reasoning also may involve others, where You know, maybe you're thinking something and you just don't, maybe you're not fully sure, right? And maybe you got to bounce it off somebody, right? And then maybe something that they say, maybe that one little piece that you needed, right? That little puzzle piece, right? That you needed that says, okay, that's going to help you make that final decision, right? And that's a turn. You say, hey, let me reason with you. You know, I want to reason with you, right? You want to go, you want to bounce some stuff off. You're going back and forth. Okay, boom, boom, boom. And then you're doing that in your own mind too. You're doing a back and forth in your mind, right? And then you come with your, whether you're going to accept or reject that, right? And then our will generally is the faculty of the mind that selects at the moment of decision a desire among the various desires present. It itself does not refer to any particular desire, but rather to the mechanisms responsible for choosing from among one's desires. The ability to focus on an idea and exclude everything else only exists if the mind, which is set in motion, maintains it. The proper use of the mental faculty of will is to keep a mental image fixed in the mind. It may surprise you to know that this is far simpler than it may first appear. Once you properly understand what the will is, as well as what the will is not. Our will allows us to focus and concentrate on an idea and unleash our internal power, right? When we're zoomed in, you know, you're zoomed in, they say, do you have the will to do it? If you have the will to do it, right? So the will is like a magnifying glass, right? As you see with the magnifying glass, you know, the sun is there and then we have the converging rays and it zooms in and it's able to focus and burn a hole through a paper or start a fire, right? Because all the energies are channeled in. It's a focus. And, you know, because a wide spread of this focus, it's not as focused, so you're not going to get as much energy with that, right? But when you channel it in, right, then it's so focused and so condensed that it's powerful. And the will in us will allow us to do that. If you're determined to do something and you have the will to do it, you're going to get it done. You're going to spark that fire, you know, and ignite that, right? And then we have intuition. Right? Intuition is the realization and recognition of some condition or occurrence where said realization and recognition transpires with seemingly little or no involvement of the individual's physical senses. We can define intuition as an instant idea or an immediate answer we receive without even thinking about it. One meaning of intuition is the direct perception of truth, fact, etc., independent of any reasoning process. Most people understand intuition to be a feeling about a person, place, thing, or situation that arises to the front of the mind in a moment without consciously thinking about it. It is seen as a judgment that arises out of thin air, extrasensory perception. Intuition occurs subconsciously and so quickly that it seems to appear out of thin air. Intuition is often referred to as a gut feeling because it doesn't seem to come from the mind. These feelings can often be useful because they are instantaneous and can be implemented in situations where time is of utmost importance. Successful people often credit their intuition for helping them along the way. Thank you, Steve, for being on board. Francisca said intuition is also ESP. Francisca, can you elaborate?
Yes, ESP is extrasensory perception. You have something, you have your gut feeling that, you know, this doesn't sound right. You know, for example, yesterday I went to New York. I went for the day shopping and I happened to meet one of the women on the bus. We were in the food court, we were eating. And her vibe, she was so negative. And I was saying, oh my God, how am I going to get rid of this woman? So as we were going shop, because I wanted to go somewhere, she said, no, that's too expensive. I said, you know what? Don't keep saying that things are expensive. Go into an expensive shop and feel the feeling of being expensive. Don't go to the cheap stores. Then another lady just showed up. I said, how are you? She said, you want to go in there? I said, yes. And I told her, you can wait outside. And I stayed inside long enough so that the other woman, when we went out, she wasn't there. I said, that other lady saved me because the intuition was there. She was so negative. I could feel it in my body, how she was so negative. She said, the food is so expensive. The store is so... I told her, stop saying that it is expensive, you know, at least, you know, but she said it is. So.
Wow. So you see, I'm glad that you brought that up, right? Because you're talking exactly what we're talking in this circumstance. Your subconscious mind, you felt in your intuition that this lady's negative, and then some lady saved you, but that lady was actually coming from you.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like, you called for this person to bring you in, and you went inside. So you had this other person who was draining your energy can leave you, and you can be in your natural state. That's amazing. Thanks for sharing that. You know, and guys, that's the truth, right? Your intuition is guiding you. You know, and as you're guided, follow your gut feeling, follow the feelings that you have, and you'll see, people will pop out of nowhere and just bring you in a way, because we really are all connected. You know, I'm like, it's mentioned all the time, and I'm sure everyone's aware by now. You realize how connected we all really are, right? But you know, it's a stranger, but that stranger is actually coming from you, calling her so that you can get rid of this other person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right? So your gut feeling, right? So we see this image here, right? Saying, hi, I have a strong opinion about this. You know, so listen to your gut. Listen to, you know, what is going inside of you. Because if you feel that imbalance, just like Francisca felt that imbalance, imagine she stayed with this lady for a whole day. She would not enjoy her trip. Right? So your gut, if your gut is telling you something, you have to follow your gut. You know, this intuition, and our intuition, the more we follow it, the more we are in alignment with our true self. Right? And then we have perception. Perception is the organization, identification, and interpretation of our sensory information in order to represent and understand the presented information or the environment. Two people can be looking at the same thing, and they both can have different ideas of it. In other words, they perceive things differently. In this instance, there is no right or wrong. They're merely different points of views. So, Francisca, your point applies to this as well, right? You both went to the same food place. You went to the same stores, and she was saying it's expensive, and you're saying it's not expensive, but it's the same store. But you had your hand up. I think you want to add to this. Go ahead.
Yes, there were two men who were in a prison. One looked up and saw the stars, and one looked down and saw mud. So they had two different perceptions. One was thinking how they're going to get out, was looking up. The other one was just looking down and saw mud. You see?
Yeah. And they stayed in there probably, right? And that's the truth, right? So
My God.
perception, your point of view, you know, pick your poison. You know what I mean? Some people could say these people are good people. Some people could say they're bad. But they are who they are, right? Perception is our point of view, right? So we see this image here on the left, right? There's a number there, and these two are arguing. One is saying it's 6, one is saying it's 9. But the number is the number. They're both right. It's just the perception that they're viewing it from. Right? And in the right image, the person's looking at it saying there's 4. And then the other side, the person saying there's 3. They're both right. It's a matter of perception. Right? Perception, how you view this. Right? We're cutting time, but if you could look at this image and you could either see an old lady or you could see a young woman. Right? So if just real quick, just write in old lady or young woman what you see. Or you could say, what do you see, young woman or old lady?
Both.
Okay, Hilda says old lady. Colin says both. Chat says young lady. So we see already it's one image that we're seeing, but we already have different opinions, right? It's perception, right? Exactly. Young lady, young both. Kathy says both, right? So it's all about your perception. So just to show you where, if you're looking for the old woman, this is her mouth, right? And her mouth is the young lady's necklace. The old woman's mouth is the young lady's necklace, right? The old lady's nose is the young woman's face, right? So you should be able to see it now, right? You should be able to see it now, right? And then the young lady has like some garment over her head, but the old woman, that's like her hair, right? So, hopefully everyone sees them both now, right? But it's a matter of perception, right? So your perception on something will determine your attitude towards it, depending on how you view it. If something is happening and you do not like it, you can always shift and alter your perception of it. If two people are arguing, they are both right. It's a matter of perception. Train yourself to also view things from the other's point of view. This is something that so many people it's difficult for people to do because of ego, right? If ego is in charge, then you want to prove that you're right, right? But if you remove your ego and you hear out the other person and you look at it from their point of view, then you can actually see their point of view, right? And you can understand their point of view. Then you guys can actually come into an agreement because you actually understand each other's point of view, right? So frequent use of the map book will make you use your higher faculties. It's embedded in the program, right? There's a lot of things that are inside the map book program, right? That may not be forefront. That's why we have these GPS sessions, right? But as you use the program, you're actually applying all of these faculties, right? And that's why I really emphasize on reading your map book frequently, daily, because these higher faculties of the mind should be frequently developed. All right. So that's the session. I want to just open it up. If we just get some final words from everyone before we sign off. Christina, I appreciate your commitment on being on the GPS session. If your mic's not opened up, just type in something, give us some final words. Talk about these higher faculties, talk about just whatever in general of the session. How can you help expand this GPS session? Francisca, while she's typing.
Yeah, may I say something? There is a lady from Uganda, it's on YouTube, who has 44 children with one man, and the husband abandoned her. A friend of mine said that man must be a wicked man to abandon her. I said, no, I disagree with you. You don't know the circumstances under which the man left. Maybe the man could not sleep at night. He feared for his life, and he was looking at all these children. How am I going to feed all these children, clothe them, educate them? And many of them also would have special needs. So you don't know the circumstances, because a story always has three sides: her side, his side, and the truth. Very easy just to sit back and criticize without knowing all the facts. So you can't say the man is wicked. Hear his side of the story as well, and hear her side, then you can judge.
Okay, that's thank you for sharing that, right? And that's the truth, right? And that goes with any two sides of story, right? Like if you're talking, if there's any dispute, right, there's always two sides, and like you said, the truth, right? And that's why they have court systems, so everyone could try to hear all stories, and the judge just has to be a judge of the incidences, and then they got to come with a consensus, or the jury, or whatever the case may be. But if without the court systems, it's a matter of just looking at the situation and just seeing, okay, how is, like, what is the overlying matter here, right? So we have to look on a higher perspective, and these higher faculties of our mind allow us to be on a higher frequency, a higher level. You know, we're able to see things on a higher level, imagine things on a higher level. Our reasoning will be on a higher level, right? Thank you, Francisca. Kathy.
Hi, sorry I was late today. I don't have too much to add because I did miss quite a bit of it, but from what I got from it, yeah, I understand with your mind that it doesn't understand what's real, and you can really change the way that you react if you really like hone in on your perception of things. You can really change a situation, and I think the more that you are aware of it, the better you become at reacting differently to situations, because you may react very quickly to a situation based on something that's happened to you in the past, and it could really have nothing to do with the current situation you're in or what the other person is saying, whether it's something about you or something to you, but it's just based on what you have experienced in your past. And I think that if you have a more open mind, you can actually train yourself to respond differently.
Mm-hmm. You know what? Just based on what you said, I want to go back to something in my childhood, right? Going back to memory, right? I did that happen with me. So I grew up like for a good amount of years in a Croatian building, right? I live with Croatians, love my Croatian people. But it was subsidy housing, right? And in the building there's all kinds of communities. There's an Oriental building beside me, and then other subsidy housing, around me. And then there was just, I would say, at the time I seen them as rich people, because they had their own homes and stuff, And then but I had, people of different communities, right? And I think I mentioned this in a GPS session before, where I was teased a lot from my skin tone of being dark, right? Mainly by Black, my Jamaican friends, right? And Jamaican people, girls, try to talk and to tell me to get out of here. It's too dark and stuff. So it really brought down my self-esteem, right? And because they were teasing me, it's not a matter if they weren't teasing me, right? But then in my building, I had a friend of mine, right? And he asked me, he's like, yo, why are you so dark? Right? And I took offense to that. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, yo, this guy too? This guy's making fun of me too? But then after a certain amount of years, I started to realize that no, his perception is completely different than their perception, because he was just curious, because he came from Croatia where he didn't see Black people, and he came over here and he was just asking a curious question. You know what I'm saying? So he had no malice in his question, but because of the experiences that I've gotten, I felt like it was an attack against me. So I never talked to this guy for a good minute, because I thought he made fun of me, and he didn't understand why. But after when we talked about it and we were reasoning, then he opened up, like, no, like, I just wanted to know, like, like, I didn't know, like, you're like the first Black person that I really encountered. So I wanted to know. I was curious, right? So it's like, just like what Kathy was saying, right? It's like, from certain things that, from our past, we're quick to react, right? We're quick to react from, but it's not a matter of a reaction, it's about, obviously growing, knowing who you are, and building these faculties, right? And as me and him, we reason, you know what I mean? And then look, we came with an answer, and it was an understanding that I had after that. So then after following that, I was and a few other creations asked me, and I didn't take offense to it anymore from them. You get what I'm saying? Because I was like, okay, they want to know. Then I explained and went to, I was like, oh, okay, right? So it was like a completely different reaction, but it was I was reacting based off of the other things that I was experiencing, you know. So thank you for sharing that, Kathy. I just wanted to kind of expand on it. It's just sparked when you brought that up. Collins, if you guys give us something before we sign off.
I don't really have anything to add. It was a good session.
Okay.
Yeah, no, nothing.
Good stuff. Good. Hilda. All right, Hilda's done too. Okay, all right, guys. Thank you so much.
Sorry, no,
Okay, go ahead.
I'm here. I was just driving. Yeah, I don't really have that much to add. But just that the imagination was just something that kind of I tapped into a lot, just because I was just telling this girl yesterday this imagination that I had in my mind about the layout of how I would put my juices. Like, if someone could build me something, I'm like, I've always had this in my mind. So like, I'm like, I know that there's possible that someone could build it for me, but it's like, you know, those stands, like the wood stands, but I would want it like refrigerated. So like when I go to shows, it'd be standing and it'd have like one of those what's called what's it called? The smoke thing coming out.
Yeah.
But the stand would be refrigerated, so I can actually leave it, like, you know, as a display. But anyways, I've always had this imagination, and I'm like, no, I can find someone to do it. Like, there's no way that I can't do it. So anyways, all I wanted to say is, like, just keep your imagination open. It keeps you young. It keeps you, like, you know, visualizing things, and just keeps you not guessing, but keeps you like curious, like, you know what I mean? So just keep it open and dive into it. You know, we don't have that much time to do that because a lot of times we're doing so much, but it's great to have that open and to tap into it, because, you know, then you feel like everyone has, I guess, obviously everyone has different imagination, so we do have to tap into it, because we're all the same, but we're all different at the same time. So anyway, that's all I want to say.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for adding that. And I want to even double down on what you're saying. Elon Musk, if you talk to anyone at Tesla, at SpaceX, he, like, every day he has something new. And like they're talking to one of his top employees, like, the guy comes up with impossible things and he says, I want you guys to get this done in a month, or I want you have 2 weeks to get this done. Like, but how do we do it? He's like, I don't know how, but I know it can be done. So let's get it done, right? So just like how you're thinking, Hilda, you know, I know this can be done. How can it be done? You know, you're thinking on the same mind frame as the richest billionaire in the world, Elon Musk. You know, same thing. He says, listen, we need to do this. I don't know how it's going to get done, but we need to do it. Let's figure it out. And then they have like a month to figure it out, you know? So yeah, you got a billionaire mind right there. Kathy wants to close us out. Kathy, go ahead.
Yeah, I do want to close it out. I just want to say that for Hilda, I follow her on social media, and I just want to say that your imagination is like proof of what we're talking about, because when I first met you, you were just like playing with juice, really, like you were just kind of dabbling and like seriously dabbling with it. And now I see you prancing around with this concert with your big, huge, bigger than life size juice bottle, and you're in gyms and in stores, and you're killing it, girl. So I just want to say congratulations to Hilda. I think it's amazing to see your growth. And I'm really proud of what you've done.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
For real, Hilda. Most definitely. You know, we're all proud of you. We're all proud of you, for real. You know, proud of everyone here. Thank you for your commitment. You know, and that's the one key thing. Just staying committed. You know, life's a journey. You know, and just be committed. Just be committed to, you know, what you said you're gonna do. Don't give up, because it's happening. Okay, Francisca said next week's a holiday, so I'll see you guys in 2 weeks on a GPS session. Have a good night. God bless everyone.
Good night.
Okay.